Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new episode of The Untold. This is the show where we have amazing people, creative people, but of course, I'm your host, Abdullah Hindiani.
And I am your host, Saad Al Azmi. And today, as Abdullah said, we will have an untold story, a new story of a writer, Abdullah. And as you know, writing is not easy. Reading is easier, but writing is, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, the reason why I laugh is because you remind me of something, which is a video that goes on social media where this person got onto one of those award shows, and he's like, "I can read thousands of words," and he just blabbers.
Yes,
Just a funny anecdote.
yes,
But of course, today we have Hawraa Khalfan, who's a
yes,
writer, who's also a teacher, and
yes.
we want to talk to her all about the writing process.
She's a mother, she's a teacher, she's a writer, and this is a tough job for. Can you imagine being a teacher? Teaching can take a lot of your time, of your life actually, and your body, because you need to be there. And you write and you also have kids. Today we will talk about writing, how she handle the timing and everything, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah, Hawara is going to be joining us after the break. With that in mind, we're going to go on this break. We'll come right back after this one. And we're back. Thank you for joining us, dear viewers. But most importantly, thank you, Hawara, for being our guest today on The Untold.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here to tell us your story, the untold story of Hawraa. Now let's start, Abdullah, by before we go to the questions, let's talk about writing
Okay.
as a major. You write diaries, you write everything. So tell us about the importance of writing.
Okay, the importance of writing is literally just navigating the world through the words that I see around me. So that's what it is for me. But in general, I see that writing is the only way that we can communicate today because of social media and, like just our phones. Everything is written, really. Like
Yes.
everything is documented.
I
So,
think we have a very shortage of writers
Yeah,
in today's world.
it is, honestly, especially because it's like one of the longest running form of storytelling, right? It goes back all the way to the days of drawing on caves,
Yes.
right? That's a form of writing, that's a form of storytelling.
Yes.
Speaking of going back, do you remember how you got into writing?
yeah, I got into writing because my family was really loud. And so I would like go in a corner and just write things down that I
Yeah.
wanted to say to them, but I knew if I said it, nobody would listen because everyone's yelling all the time. And that's literally how it started. I would just go to my room and write things.
As an
And
escape. So you,
yeah, as also a way of making sense of the world. Like, my brother said this. Why did he say this? He said this because one, two, three. Oh, so he's like that. So then next time I know. And so just seeing everything, like words in front of me, helps me make sense of the world. Like,
So I write sometimes. It's not a diary. I'm not sure it's a diary. I write down things like if I have a problem or something.
Journal.
I have. It's like a ritual for me. So
Mhm.
I feel like it's meditation.
yeah.
So tell me about the feeling the feeling that leads you back to writing. Is it the feeling of mindfulness, calmness?
I want to say definitely calmness, definitely mindfulness, and definitely uh, like the visual ease of understanding. Like just I need to see it to understand it, what I'm thinking all the time.
Mm.
And speaking of seeing to understand things, obviously we're in a Arabic society, and you are writing in English. So how did those two worlds, mix and match towards each other, right? How do they influence each other?
Okay, so that's a really good question because people love to hate on you for speaking English. I don't really understand it, especially when you are a product of the society and that's why you speak English. For example, like my dad got sent on a scholarship and that's how I learned to speak English and navigate the world in the English language. And I think that there's a connection between the way that you express yourself and the way that culture needs you to express yourself, that or maybe a disconnection is what I'm trying to say, that is like really important for us to kind of highlight
Why
today.
do you like this connection? Because I write in English,
Mm.
right? Because I don't want my wife to find out what I'm writing. This is a true story. She once opened, she said, "What are you writing?" I see my name, I see something happened later, because this is the trick I'm doing, because I study English.
Mm.
So I love to have codes when I'm writing, right? For me.
The privacy,
Yes.
yeah.
So I have codes, things I don't want anyone to know. Even if you found if you speak English, you are smiling. You know,
So good, that's so
you
good.
can relate, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So do you escape also by going to English?
Uh, No, I feel like English helps me because everyone around me speaks English and writes English. So
Oh, okay.
it would be the opposite actually for me, you know? Like
You should write in Arabic.
exactly, right? So it's not an escape as much of a like a necessary evil, I want to say. Like it's just the way that I express myself, even though there is a, you know, I wish I could be as expressive in Arabic as I am in English, to be honest.
Yeah, and you know, speaking of that fact, you've also on your socials highlighted or discussed about how Arabic, you know, writing, whether it's writing in it or reading it, brings you anxiety. So you know, elaborate more on that.
Oh my God, language anxiety is so real. I don't know why people they love to hate on you when you talk about it.
Yeah.
So I'm a teacher, okay, and I see language anxiety in every single Arabic-speaking student that I teach.
Do you
And
teach English or?
I teach English,
Huh.
and the English language anxiety that I see means that I have to adjust myself and the way that I teach my students so that I can actually get to them and teach them in a way that suits them. So, or in the way that they need for the course that I'm teaching. For me, it's the flip side. It's that I have to switch to Arabic sometimes to get an idea to them, and I start muttering and doing this, you know, like just exactly what they're doing in English, the mistakes they're making in English, I'll make them in Arabic.
Yes.
And so, honestly, language anxiety is real, and it's a very, I mean, if you take language anxiety and you add it to Badliya culture, it's a really toxic combination. And I know it's normal, and it's part of
Yeah,
our
it's
humor, and we're very humorous as Kuwaitis,
Yes.
and it's beautiful. But at the same time, Badliya culture makes you not want to practice Arabic, and so you don't really get better at your Arabic, and your English is always going to win in a way.
It's all about this is something funny, really. Because let me tell you something, and Abdullah, get this. They told me when you write in English, which is a second language, you have a second mind. So when you write in English, you have a different persona, let's say. So when you write in Arabic, there are concepts that are for Arabic, and there are concepts for English. Do you see that as let's say an obstacle, let's say, in writing in Arabic, because it's very difficult? Because I can relate to you 100%. I studied English. I was in the UK. All my concepts, my phrases in English. I love to write it that way. Is that an obstacle to write in Arabic?
It's definitely an obstacle. I always make this joke that like my Arabic level is grade 4, and my English level is like, you know, I'm teaching English, but my Arabic really, like, if you see my handwriting, it's kind of embarrassing,
Yes.
you know? So,
Yeah. You know, this reminds me of something because I think I finished school in Arabic. You know, it's cumulative grades or whatever they call it. I think I finished in the 70s or 60s. But then I also wrote a few books in Arabic, you know, Fusha. And so whenever people tell me, like, how do you know, deal with language anxiety or making it Fusha instead of, you know, Kuwaiti language, I always like, you know, just wing it. Then if there are any mistakes, other people are going to fix it for you.
you have
And
editors.
yeah, I think I took that approach to heart. But I do share your sentiment that, you know, when you're writing in Arabic, because we are so ingrained with the language, we know it so much, every little bit of detail, every little bit of mistake, people are going to, you know, amplify it. People are going to be like, oh, why did you write this? Why did you write that? What is the meaning behind this? So yeah, I do understand your meaning behind, it's such a difficult language to tackle.
Yes.
Yeah, and forget like Zwara anxiety when you want to say something and then the wrong thing comes out and they're like, "Khas, you're the joke for the rest of the gathering," you know?
I don't really have this anxiety, but I make a lot of mistakes. Now let's talk about writing. This is, as I said, I write. It's a diary. It's nothing. I write for myself, right? So you write poems, right?
I write stories.
Stories. All right. Tell me about writing for others. Do you write for others? This is the real anxiety, because the judgment can be harsh.
Okay, so I don't really see it in terms of judgment in that way, and I see why you connected it because of language anxiety and the judgment of others has affected me. But when it comes to my the stories that I write, I really focus on okay, there's a little Hawraa, okay, and little Hawraa needed to read a book, a specific story that would have uplifted her. And I couldn't find it when I needed it. And so my writing is heavily dependent on how it felt to be me in a specific age and what I needed to grow stronger or to navigate the world in the way that it is. And I write for little Hawraa. So it's not really...
So you write for yourself.
So I write for myself in a way, but also for others, because I know that the things that I went through the experiences I went through are kind of universal for young girls.
Yeah, I don't think language matters, especially for the story. You need to be creative in writing a story. So this is another subject, right? So writing stories need deep imagination to relate to yourself. You said something really interesting. You said you write for yourself, the child, right? So where did that come from?
My reaction to that was jumping into the world of stories and using stories as a way to write the things that I wanted to express in the same way that you do the journals.
Yeah, that's why parenting is really important for the children. The seed of love of writing came from your parents, and this is really important, Abdel.
It is important. And, you know, speaking about little Hawraa, so let's go back to the process of your writing initially. So let's go for the first stages, right? You're sitting down in front of an empty Word document. Where do you get the ideas from? How do you get your musing? How do you approach this kind of effort?
So this has to go back to when I graduated high school. I really wanted to study creative writing, but we didn't have scholarships for creative writing. And so my dad was like, be an English teacher. Good enough, you know, like just English. It's just study English. And so when I came down to, okay, it's time, I'm gonna write the story that I really want to write. I want to start working on this book. I had a very strong grasp of language. And so like my language was great, but I had zero skills when it came to forming stories or like plot structure or dialogue or all these things.
Yes.
So actually, like I came up with the concept based on a character I had in mind, and I made so many mistakes and deleted the whole thing. Like it was 70,000 words and I deleted it. And I was like, no, I need to take a course or something. This is terrible. Like, and when your taste as a reader is high and then your skill as a writer doesn't match it, you're like, there's something that doesn't add up here, you know? And so I had to delete it, do it again. And so now the one that's getting published is like the 7th draft of the...
But did you take the course for...
I took an online course, a single online course, and read everything that I could find on story structure, dialogue,
Yes.
Script, everything.
This is really important because if you are not, I'm not saying skilled writer, but you need to know the basics, and then you can be creative with what you learn from others, right? So because I studied English literature, I know how to, the short story, the novel, there is difference between these two. So writing is different, especially if you are writing for others. This is something not for little Hawraa, this is for everyone. There you can see the real anxiety. Do you really care, or I'm not saying care, but do you worry about the reactions of people?
Not really, no. I couldn't care less.
I think that's the best approach to being an artist. You know, it's, if you're creating something for others, you're not being true to yourself.
This is the mentality, yes.
Yeah, the thing is, it's not going to be perfect.
Right. Yeah.
No, not like, I'm sure so many people are going to read it and be like, what is this garbage? It's fine.
No.
The idea is
This
like...
is the mentality that we need from writers. You don't care. You are writing creatively. This is what I wrote. If you like it, welcome. If you don't, skip.
If you don't like it, it's not for you.
Yeah, and I really loved your answer.
I appreciate that. Thank
I
you.
wish I can have this.
I mean, I think that's why when I wrote my first book, with every edition, I put 20 KD, so that every reader is going to be like, oh, this is a tip. This is a very good book. With that in mind, we are going to take a break and we'll come right back after this one. And we're back from the break. Thank you for tuning in. I do want to ask you something. You know, I think every time we have someone who's an author on the Untold, I like to repeat this question because, you know, I think it really helps us understand the mentality of writers. So it's, I think George R.R. Martin said that writers come in two groups, right? They are either planters or gardeners. So one of them is someone who writes and just sees where the story goes. One of them just plans ahead, tackles the story. So where are you in those two groups?
I tried to do it, the see where the story goes, and failed because the story was like, I had all the ideas in the world and not enough time to write them. So I ended up writing too many stories and too much happened. And that was like the 3rd time I had to delete the whole book, and I had to plot it. So I actually had like specific scenes I would write on specific days and specific character stories. And when I had the entire like concept organized, then I could properly put it together.
Interesting. And now let's dive into the subjects that you write about. You write about women. Now, there are expectations, there are, let's say, limitations of how to write for women and about women. Tell me about this subject specifically.
So, look, for me, I write the realities that we feel as young women and as ladies, okay? So, what I mean by that is I don't like to shed light on anything with a negative, like just to say, oh, this is terrible. Why are you doing this to us? No, my goal is always to say, by the way, this is how it feels inside. This is how this is how we're navigating the world. We're constantly anxious. We're constantly worried about X is wrong or Y is wrong or whatever it is. And so when I say that I write for women, it's mostly just for women to feel like, oh, someone else actually went through this. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I think there aren't a lot of, I would say in the Middle East at least, a lot of female authors writing about women for some reason. So it's a very kind of field that requires a lot of attention, especially from you people who understand your own group. Females know better about tackling women. There's a very stereotypical internet forum called Men Writing Women, and if you go to it and you see how a lot of men write women, how they describe them, how they describe their emotions, even if you read it as a man, you're like, what are they writing? That's not how people react to. So you are occupying a very important piece of location.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think there are some limitations, so you need to be careful, I think, in this subject for the women, not for the men. So when you share a story, you need to, like, you don't want to upset them, right? Especially the women that are against your idea, let's say, because we are talking about something sensitive. So I'm not gonna mention which subject you write about, but you write for them. Some of them may have a different opinion.
The main character navigates a world where it's a sovereign country. It's not a country that we know. I created this country. And the reason I did that is because I didn't want to make it political or make it what it's not, or make it like kind of take that story and have it easily be twisted into what it isn't meant to be. And what it's meant to be is merely a spotlight on how young women feel.
Yeah.
That's it. And so if someone disagrees, that's okay. But, we do feel that way. Some of us feel that way. That's fine,
You have the knowledge, you see, because you know what you write about. So it's not about, I don't care, but because you are writing from the heart and you really, you don't want to upset anyone, but they can take it or leave it. This is the mentality I said in this interview in the first part, when I said, I couldn't care less. This is really comes from confidence. It's not from really I don't care about people.
Yeah.
Of course you care about them.
I care about my readers. I care that young women understand that they're not alone and that they are able to talk about how it feels to be them. That's generally what I really, really care about. Yeah.
There's also a misconception about writers, is that whatever they're writing is representative of something they encounter. Sometimes you just want to tell a story. Sometimes you just have a scene in your mind. You want to see how the scene came to be and how it's going to be. You're not trying to tell a message. You're not trying to represent a group. You're not trying to do anything but tell the story. However people interpret that story, that's on them. It's not on you. I do want to ask you about something, because the viewers might not see this, but you came to the studio with a book. So I want to put you on the spot. This is the moment where a parent must choose their favorite child. So if you were to pick a favorite book or books, what would they be?
Okay, be more specific with the question.
Okay.
Okay, so a favorite book in what genre?
I would say nonfiction, because I could maybe, know my way around nonfiction, fiction books, I mean.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Fiction books.
Fiction?
Yeah.
Okay. I really loved Lost in Mecca by Buthayna al-Isa.
Okay.
I read that last year. I loved recently, and that's a favorite because I feel that it represents the journey that a woman can go through when trying to do something for her child. As a mom, I can really relate to that. Of course, not to that extreme. The book is quite hard to read. Another book that I really love The An Unlasting Home by May Naqib is a great read too.
Those are, those are way out there kind of answers. I thought you were going to be like going to pick some mainstream, The Housemaiden or
Yeah.
the,
Okay, so
but
there's fast fashion books, which
yeah,
I enjoy as well. Like I love those because they're like it's just entertainment. Like I'm not
yeah.
trying to figure out anything about the world when I read it. It's like I'm just and the book that I just brought with me is one of those. It's like you get hooked from the first scene, and it's not because it's written so well, it's because the premise is like mind-blowing, you know?
So let's talk about that. What is it about, a book or the first scene that, catches your attention? Let's say it's a new book, a new first pages, you're immediately hooked. What is it about that? Is it the story, the prose, the writing, the language?
These books, the thing that will hook me is like the premise. Like this book is about a kid getting kidnapped,
Oh,
and the only way to get her kid back, the mom has to kidnap someone else and give them to the kidnappers. So it's called The Chain, and the premise is kind of like insane.
Yes.
But other books, like the books I mentioned, seeing myself in them. So knowing that it's written by a Kuwaiti author is enough for me to go through it and
it's amazing,
like
yeah.
It's really amazing, and I think I'm right. We are witnessing a future megastar in writing now, which is you, Hawraa. But I have a question. I am a little envious about you writing about women, because you should go and complete this let's say matrix of writing about everything, especially for the Kuwaiti society. This is, as I said, you have limitations, but the thing that you are writing now, you don't care about the opinion, but in the future you will see some reactions. It may be negative, it may be positive. That's fine for you. What do you see for the future, especially writing? Do you think that you will visit another genre, another subject?
yeah, absolutely. I write children's books for my kids just because I don't see enough books that represent their personalities. So when I want to teach my kids something, I'll just write a book about it, and I'll write the little story. I won't publish them. They're just for them to teach them the lesson.
What about publishing?
And
Because this is the real task when you do it. Because I think people think children books are very easy to write. They're not.
I think there's so much harder to write actually because
Yes,
you gotta
I know
like
that.
the rhyme scheme, every word has like so much importance because they have to be so compressed.
And the society will
And-
judge you for that. What are you writing for them? You
Yeah.
can go to prison, actually. If you
Really?
write- yes.
Okay.
This is children literature.
Okay.
I studied that. So if you write something for the child, to them to be a rebel or to be like against the
I understand.
yeah. So it's really sensitive. Do you see yourself writing for children, like publishing?
Honestly, I see myself writing for everything, every genre, the thing about this is that I don't feel right, like as a person, I don't feel right if I'm not writing. And it just comes down to the fact that, like, the concept of euphoria, like I only feel at ease when I'm like nobody spoke to me that morning. I have my coffee and I'm starting my day to write. And just getting lost in word choice or one sentence or the story or the scene or the dialogue or like I'm rewriting the same sentence 10 times. It really doesn't matter. It just feels right. It's like what I'm supposed to do. I know.
Yeah.
Like it's what I have to do with my life.
It's really a
yeah.
tough job.
It is a tough job. And so let's go back to that point, and hone it a little bit more, because you've said you've writing and you're always writing and trying to write your daily mornings with the coffees. And a lot of people don't realize that, writing is like, I would say it's like a workout. If you don't read, you're going to lose a lot of your vocabulary. You're going to lose a lot of your prose, a lot of your sentence structure. So what is your workout? Do you read poems? Do you read novels? Do you read magazines? How do you keep in line, put in your sessions of, I would say, workouts for the writing, not the writing itself?
It's really important to note this, that when people say they have writer's block, I roll my eyes. I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. Because writer's block doesn't exist. It's a skill that you have to keep working on. And so reading everything, I read everything. Like long Instagram captions to nonfiction to fiction to children's stories, and analyzing everything that I read. And practicing writing is consistent. Like when I'm reading a book, I'm not just reading it. I'm thinking, oh, interesting, they use semicolons in this way in this book. That's cool. Like, I'm gonna test that out. How do I do that? And always reading books about writing and doing the exercises in those books is really important to me. But I think the most important thing is the routine. It's the getting used to having and making sure to implement it. So sometimes we'll do the task of like scheduling everything, but then we won't stick to it. But for me, the golden time is writing time, and I will not forfeit that.
Yeah.
My kids could be like doing whatever they want. I'm like, I'll be like, Yusuf will deal with it. Yusuf's my husband. Yusuf's got it. It's fine. I'm not leaving. I'm writing right now.
I love how you said it's about routine, because I think, you know, Stephen King's book on storytelling, it was called, he said,
On writing.
on writing, he said that he always tried to make sure that even if he has whatever issue, if he has a busy day, writer's block, he always makes sure to have 5 pages done per day. And so that's how he keeps productive. It's all about discipline, routine. It's not about motivation.
Yeah.
So I do love how you highlighted the idea that writer's block is basically, it's a skill issue.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think reading is easier. Right? If you are a reader, it's easier for you not to have this block, because sometimes you can stop when you read. And for the writers, now this question, because you are a special breed, let's say, writers, do you have the stories when you are like, you go on in your everyday life and you say, this is a good idea for a story? Do you write it down and then you go on and write it?
I have a compost. It was one of those master classes that on writing that I took early on, and I saw that one of the writers in it said he has a writing compost where he'll just write down the idea on a post-it and throw it in a box. And so now I have a document compost where I'll have a journal with me everywhere I go, and any dialogue I hear or it could be so random. It could be the color of something that I'm like, how would I describe that? And then I'll describe it and I'll throw it in the compost. And when I get stuck, like I'm like, I need a warm-up activity, I'll just open up the compost and be like, Hedra Bedra, and I'll grab one of those things and just try to do it. Like, just try to do it slow or fast or whatever it is.
You know, I think that's a very great, and even though it was told in a jokey manner, you know, Hedra Bedra, it's a very great writing tool, right? If you have scenes, if you have phrases, if you have anything, you can choose one of them and see where the story leads to. With that in mind, I do want to tell you that we have unfortunately ran out of time, but again, I want to thank you tremendously for being our guest today.
Yeah, really, thank you so much, and thank you for sharing these stories. I think a lot of viewers, especially writers and readers, they will get a lot of information, especially for the how to write. You should take the classes, you should take the courses. Thank you so much, Hawraa.
Thank you so much for having me. I had fun talking to you guys.
Well, thank you again. Thank you, dear viewers, for staying tuned. We are going to take a break. We'll come right back after this one. And that's it from us, the team of The Untold. Honestly, I want to thank Hawraa again. She was an entertaining guest. She was a very knowledgeable and informative writer, author.
Yeah, informative, intelligent, and she really gave something. I think, I'm sure that she gave something for the viewers, especially the writers, because when you see a young writer like Hawraa, you can learn something that you really can do, especially that she told us all about this information on how to write. I think we need another episode of that one.
Yeah, honestly, because our producers were kind enough to prepare so many questions. We didn't have a lot of time to go through a lot of them. You know, we got caught up in the conversation with Hawraa. And, you know, every time we've had authors on The Untold, I really like to dig into their process, you know, to see how they work, how they think about how they get their ideas. And Hawraa was kind enough to share all of those answers with us.
Yes, I think we will talk about with Hawraa off camera. Of course, we need these information, especially for writing. But Abdullah, unfortunately, we reached the end of this episode of The Untold. Until the next episode, stay safe and goodbye.
Goodbye.